welcome to the first episode of The Middleman 2025. It is my pleasure to be part of this wonderful program for the year 2025, and of course I'm not doing this alone. It's my pleasure to introduce Juro Evans Ofeli, who will be sharing his perspective on the complex and multifaceted topic of God and religion. And we have Juro Emeka Madunagu, who is, and of course will provide a data-driven, nuanced analysis of Nigeria's development prospects, highlighting both the opportunities and challenges that lie ahead of us this year. Myself, Juro Henry Igwebike, will examine the phenomenon of white elephant airport projects, which have become a recurring issue in many states of Nigeria. All that in a bit is still in The Middleman. Please don't go anywhere. I welcome you back now to The Middleman, and my case for today, the Spate of White Elephant Airport project. In June 2024, Governor Dauda Lawal of Zamfara, the state flagged off construction work for Gusau International Airport, declaring that the project, managed by Tractor Nigeria Limited with JBI Tech Consult, will promote social interaction, business and tourism in the state. On December 17, 2024, yet again, Governor Alex Oti of Abia State followed suit by flagging off the construction of the proposed Abia Airport, describing it as a landmark project that will boost economic activities and place the state in a vital hub in the West African sub-region. Now, this is despite the fact that opposition and the host community have come against it. Unfortunately, while Nigerians do not have enough to eat and get by, our governors with huge FAC allocations are busy building white elephant airports and projects that only receive their private jets. My verdict for today: when airports with little importance are built with taxpayers' money, become eventually luxury airstrips for those who have become the problem with governance in their state. What then is the importance of governance? That's my take.
Very interesting topic, and it only shows you how far away from governance many of these governors are. They don't even understand what the issues are. They don't understand what the people want. They don't know. All they just know, fanciful projects, and of course, there are allegations that these projects are padded, for pecuniary benefits. Now, look at the airport built, billions of naira airport, I think 36 billion naira or 53 billion naira airport built by former governor of Ebonyi State, Dave Umahi, and continued by his successor. Now, after such a lavish expenditure, President Bola Tinubu just announced yesterday that 2 days ago that the Nigerian College of Aviation Technology in Zaria, had been broken down, so it will have branches in some other places in the country, and one of the places is for the southeast is in Ebonyi. So, an airport built with such money, such lavish expenditure, is going to end up as an aviation training center. If you even go to aviation training centers in different parts of the world, they are just small, just with one small airstrip, nothing so fanciful. But here, we like to major in the minor. And it's sad, because these governors don't even understand that if they can invest a part of this money into railway, into rail networks, if they can invest a portion of this money in security, securing the roads, making the roads, better and much more secure, then investing in the rural areas, making farming communities to be livable, extending power supply to, different parts of the country, that these things will pay better than all these fanciful airports they're building. It's unfortunate.
Very well.
Airports and bridges, huge projects. And the only way you can steal money or siphon money and hide it under the cover of work is to build an elephant project, a gingertic project. Build a bridge in a state where you don't even have traffic. In a state where the number of cars is not up to 500,000. You are building flyovers and bridge. Look at Kogi State, Delta State, and so many other states where they have built gingertic projects like this. Our governors are far up there. They are very far up there that they don't even understand the immediate needs of the people, let alone their remote needs. So what they do is just come up with a huge elephant project, maybe a huge stadium, like the one Akpabio built in Akwa Ibom State, when the citizens are suffering. Were not paid salaries, but the project was ongoing. You build that kind of a stadium, or you build one airport, or you build one flyover, or four at the same time. So in the course of time, you are able to wriggle funds in between the projects and have something very huge and humongous for yourselves. And either you pass the uncompleted project to the next governor coming or something like that. It happened in Ogun State. You know, this governor, Amusu, came up with this huge gingertic project to build bridges from Akute cross to that axis, trying to construct a road straight to Abeokuta and all that. And couldn't finish it, left it off. The current governor now is trying to do what he can do. He's not going to finish it too, because he's doing nothing really. So they're going to pass it on to another one. That's how they'll pass it. They'll pass it on to the unborn generation. So this is the kind of leadership that we have. The airport in Abia, why should they have an airport when there's an international airport in Port Harcourt? There's an airport in Owerri, Imo State. So there are airports surrounding that axis. So you do need to have an airport. Why can't you inject that resources into the well-being of the people, or use it to uplift businesses, small-scale businesses in that area? That would have a long-lasting impact than what he's trying to do, so that it will be stated that during his time he built an airport. And these people are not good managers of business. That is why before you vote anybody into office as a governor, he needs to come and show you what he has done, what he has managed successfully in the past. Okay, it's not enough to just, use taxpayers' money to undertake projects that are not accessible to the same people. The inequalities and injustice, economic injustice, is unfortunate. And then the people should also be able to make demands at some point, because the way it is in Nigeria, any project thrown at them, they accept. People don't even know the policies around those projects. All they just discover, they read in the newspaper just like any other person. There's no difference between a citizen of a state and the one that's not of that state. Don't be surprised that the people of Abia, they are reading it in the newspaper just the way you are seeing it too. That's how they are seeing it. The people are not carried along. They are not carried along. They are not town hall meeting to get the evaluation of feedbacks. They just lead the people anyhow they like. Also because the people during election largely compromise too. So when they compromise, they cannot even go and ask for any other thing. So the problems are much. But what I think can be done is that these governors, the people must create the avenue where these governors must come to terms with discussions with them. The people must make that happen. Okay? I would have said that the people should go through their councillors, their local government chairman, and then maybe some of the ministers. I would have said so if democracy was working in Nigeria. But you see, these councillors, local government chairman and all that, they were up put there by the governors. So who is going to tell the governor that the people wants to hear from the governor directly and all that? So we have a very big problem to contend with under this thing we call democracy is not working.
Yeah, I mean, so in 2014, I was in Jigawa State, So one of the places we went to was Jigawa International Airport. You need to see the money that was pumped into that place. My oh my. Magnificent, terminals and everything. No single aircraft. In fact, one of the contractors said that it was Dangote's aircraft, that landed there. That's the only aircraft that landed. That he came on a business trip, and his aircraft landed there. Okay, well, maybe some months ago there was this wheat harvesting that took place. Minister of Agriculture was in Jigawa State. That's the only state they say where we can grow wheat. So he was there. So maybe, of course, the minister went there, maybe in a chartered aircraft, and then some other people went there. You see, the interesting thing is this. These governors do not want to even break any sweat in trying to attract businesses to their states. And I tell you what, if I was a governor, if I wanted to build an airport, I will not use 1 kobo of the state's money to build the airport. All I'll just do is find what can attract people to that state. Just look for something fanciful. You will get people who will come and put that thing on the ground. After you've packaged it, you will sell it across the world. Sell it to people across the world, because there are different things that attract, people across the world. You sell it. You can make, for instance, Jigawa State. Okay, you say, oh, there is the hub of wheat in Nigeria, so you can get wheat flour, you can get this, get that, and so we can take them, take it across and all of that. Look for tourism and all of this is, but no. And then look at the last, the Yuletide that just passed. I was at the airport some days ago, and I was told that Owerri, that Lagos to Owerri, Owerri to Lagos, recorded a high traffic this period. In fact, it was like 2 aircraft were just taking off, taking off and landing, taking off and landing. 2 taking off from Owerri, 2 taking off from Lagos to Owerri. Like that, Lagos to Owerri had the highest, Why? They should look at the history. When the militancy in Niger Delta was at its peak, Owerri was the safest thing. You remember a lot of people ran away from Owerri because of Otokoto.
Yes, yeah.
But the militancy in Niger Delta, in Port Harcourt and, those places, drove people, to Owerri. A lot of people now moved to Owerri, and, it was safe. They could keep their families. Oil company workers could keep their families, go to the rigs, come back, weekend, to their families, and then go out clubbing and all that. That's why Owerri became very popular. Before it was taken over by Asaba. Capital now moved to Asaba. So, if you now look at it, you look at Owerri, look at the geographical spread of Owerri. Look at Umuahia, for instance, in Abia State. The governor has not even done so much to draw the world to Aba. If he had even said, okay, I'm going to put this airport close to Aba,
Yes, because he has always said that the reason he wants to do that for Abia State is because of his desire to grow, the economic hub of that place. And
but have you built the economic hub? You don't put the cart before the horse. You don't build an airport before building the economic hub. How many of those, tailors, industrialists, and the rest of them have you set up in Aba before you're talking of building an airport to bring people? It's sad. It's just a waste of money anyway.
Very, very true.
I see it.
Yes, and of course, the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria, is actually complaining, that the burden is becoming too much for them, because they said that out of the 32 airports that we have, they can only manage 26. So we have like 32 airports now.
No, 26. How many can they even operate night flights to?
No, let's just even...
Imo State Governor Opozodima has actually put his money where his mouth is. He's investing money now in night landing equipment.
Okay.
It's in the 2025 budget, of Imo State. Because he was told by the NCAA that it will have to make sure that you have night landing equipment so that aircraft can land at night. And that is a big one. That's a game changer. But, you don't do your research, you don't do any work, and then you just put money to an airport. By the way, our airport remains the only airport built with community money in Nigeria.
Whoa.
The only airport built with money of villagers, local people in Nigeria, Owerri Airport, is the only airport. So maybe that's why the people, are involved. They feel involved in marketing the airport, in encouraging their people to use the airport and all of that. You know, so it's interesting.
And let's not forget, Adeleke is equally on that list of people that wants to build airport in Osun State.
It's sad. It's only airports. There are things you can actually do, but these people are funny.
All right. While we hope that they understand what they need to do, when we return, Juro Evans Ufeli will present a case that challenges our assumptions and encourages us to think critically about the nature of faith and the role of religion in our society. It's still Middleman. Don't go anywhere.
My case, God and religion. It is quite possible to understand the concept of religion and God if we are patient enough to understand the two combination. Why God is a higher force, okay, that regulates the universe, created and regulates the universe for the purpose of the advancement of mankind. Religion is man's establishment to relate with God. So religion is an institution, while God is a sovereign. Now, many people have confused religion to mean God and vice versa. And I think it is important to have this clarification made clear. The people who brought the foreign religion to Nigeria, for example, and so many countries in Africa, are the same people who came with it, the transatlantic trade. And why religion was brought in to draw the people's attention to the superiority of a sovereign being. Those same people could not have had the mandate of God to accompany it with transatlantic slavery, which was introduced almost immediately. Those religious institutions were introduced across the world and across Africa after there have been a Berlin conference where the balkanization of Africa took place and the administration of same under colonialism kicked in, and the space was occupied by the Portuguese, the Britons, the Germans, and the rest of them across the world at the time. So my perception to this is that the concept of God remains unique and universal and is so personal that people can assess the supreme being by their soul, by their mind, and by the content of their faith. But the institution put there for adherence to its doctrine, whether biblical, terrestrial, extraterrestrial, or Quranic, or any other Buddhistic, or any other form of rite that is a guide to God, is only but subjective. So, in the beginning of this year, 2025, we saw the deluge of references, of appellations, of statements and declarations of different religious institutions about how the year will turn out, and all that. And someone has said that these expressions, appellations, and all that has always been an attempt, that man has always made this attempt to capture God and put God under that doctrine, under that cage, okay, under what they can bear, what they can understand, and trap him there for the purposes of reference, worship, and the rest of that. But I dare say that God is far bigger than the institution called religion, and that he should be revered and referenced on the basis of our understanding of him and our research of him and what our soul yearn for. in fulfillment of our destiny and projection in life. My verdict, therefore, is that there is a need for more research and conversation on the subject matter. And most importantly, a separation of these two structures, God in one hand and the institution of religion in the other hand. Until that is done and properly defined, we may as well continue in the trial and error we are in and the confusion you find around the world. People kill today. Some people fight for God. Many others are committing different kind of atrocity in the world because of a promise of some paradise and some, goodies kept for them somewhere across the terrestrial space or the extraterrestrial space. We need to have a clarity on the issue of that reference and revere and worship God effectively within the earthly space. I shall go to Rabbi again.
Oh, thank you so very much, Barrister. I think there's no gainsaying in this, and it cannot be overstated on how the role of imperialism in the religion, of course, using God as a conduit. That's the most, barbaric form. Using God as a conduit to pass that message, which of course is similar to what James Henry Breasted, said. He said that monism is but imperialism in religion, and if you take a look at what the colonialists did using religion and to come into us, and of course which metamorphosed to imperialism, you can't differentiate it from what is happening today, where our the world or people who assume to know God better than every other persons, have equally, used God equally as a launching pad, into the minds of, their followers, and which of course is still the imperialism that we're talking about. They cannot or have not been able to differentiate to people, the place of God and the place of religion, and how we can marry both together to see how that can work. Because, I feel, it's a personal opinion though, that just like the barrister did say, the knowledge of God is subjective. My knowledge of God and how I relate with him is different from yours. How I go to him is different from yours. So you can't sandwich me to believe that your own way of going to God should be my own way of going to God. You understand? So that's what I actually think, and which is what has caged us even till today, especially in Africa, particularly in Nigeria, where our men of God ask us to go for 100 days of fasting while there's hunger in the land. And we're asking ourselves, are we doing this for God? Or
are we not all fasting?
It's a religion. Yes, Barrister, I wanted to say something.
Yeah, are we not all fasting already by salvation?
Yes, we are all fasting already, but that of the 100 is like an addition.
No, but there are churches that have been fasting for 70 days. But what I think is this: God is expressed in love. Love your neighbor. That's why the Lord Jesus Christ said, the greatest commandment is love the Lord. Love the Lord your God with all your heart. And then after that, love your neighbor as yourself. That all the laws of God are encapsulated in those two commandments. So, but in the way people behave, in the way they relate to their fellow human beings, even in the way they treat themselves, do you find them showing any, love for God? Not talk of for their fellow human beings, and that is why you see, for instance, a former governor built an ecumenical center in Akwa Ibom State, what billions of naira, in which, billion. And of what benefit is that to the people? Because how many activities have gone on there? How has the state been able to approximate any benefits arising from the building of that ecumenical center? So that tells you that man goes so far in trying to please God, not knowing that
Man goes too far.
so far,
Just
too,
to
very,
please
very
God.
far in what he believes is his quest to please God. Whereas God is not far. God is not running away, because God speaks to us more than we speak to him. If you look around, look at nature, look at human beings, billions of people on earth, over 8 billion people, and each person has a point of view. Now imagine God being expressed in the voices of 8 billion people. How can you say that God is not speaking? How can you say that God is silent? Have you expanded, like when the Lord Jesus Christ in the Bible, I think in Luke chapter 5, where he told Peter, he said, cast your net on the other side. I mean, have you tried to throw love to people? Have you tried to be honest with your fellow human beings? Have you tried to show empathy? Have you listened to the other side? Like, fair hearing. One thing we do in Nigeria, generally, once one person says something or accuses another person, it's believed. Nigerians don't even want to hear the other side until it affects them.
But how about this penchant of some religious fanatics in the Christian faith, making the other people from other faith feel that the heavens, if it exists, it does not belong to them. Does not belong to them because they've not given their lives to the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
No, of course.
So religion, don't you think that is equally
religion?
Yes.
Religion, also has to do with, winning souls, getting people to your religion. There's nothing wrong with it because they themselves too. They also engage in it now.
No,
they engage in evangelism.
Yeah, but I feel everyone is entitled to what they believe. What they believe. If I'm a Jew, right? I was born in Judaism, for example. I believe in it. I practice it. I see it as the only way to see God and to relate with God. It's my entitlement. I feel you, the Christian, equally, it's your entitlement. You believe in it. So you do not have the rights to tell me to come to your own side in order to see the same God.
I have every right
to tell me.
I have every right to present my religion to you.
Yeah, well, that right is you preaching to him, not forcing him.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, it becomes an abuse where you now say that what he believes in means nothing. That he should believe in what you believe in. That's what you believe in that is superior. That's what we have with some religious institutions. They are not even telling you about God. They are telling you that their own way is superior to yours. And therefore, you should come to their own way. And when you look at the further abuse in it is the exploitation that follows, okay? The same way that the politicians use God to exploit the masses. When during election period, you see them in all churches. They go to all churches, Lagos Ibadan Expressway, you find them there visiting and making all sorts. Now, that's a subtle way of, trying to deceive the people. And the next thing they do, they go to the religious institutions, they go to the traditional institutions, and they do entrench that further. Then some of the pastors, too, are not different from the politicians. Because some of them also, what they are preaching is just a monetization of the gospel, okay? To you enrich, and then so those are the abuse in it, okay? There is nowhere in the Holy Writ where it says that we must make sure that people are forced into believing. John the Baptist tried to do it, and at the end of the day, he found himself in the wilderness. He couldn't stay in the human society, the civil society any longer, because there were warnings from the king's court to the effect that you can do what they're doing, but you cannot force people into baptism or force them into some kind of conscription, into a sect or any kind of... the religion is very subjective. And the truth is that you cannot even find God through religion. You can't find God through religion. And like a philosopher that said that religion is man's attempt to capture God. It's just an attempt to keep on, trying to hold on to bring that belief and share it. The we've seen situations where people take up, where people say that the Western education is evil. They bring their religion into it and then go bomb places where Western education is shared. Anywhere they find that, they go set the place ablaze and all that. And in setting the place ablaze, they keep calling God is great, God is great, destroying human life that is created by God, and at the same time, raising their voices in declaration to the goodness of God and the greatness of God. What a contradiction. So you only have seen what religion has birthed in the human society. It has birthed wickedness, it has birthed so hatred and all that. Everything religion has created is the direct opposite of what God asks us to go to the world and do. So that is why I said that we must exfoliate religion from what God is, because God is far away from what we are practicing, what we call religion.
All right, when we return, Juro Emeka Amadunagu will present his case that begs the question, will 2025 be Nigeria's turning point? Who knows? That in a bit is still the middleman. Don't go anywhere.
Middleman. You're welcome back. It is still the middleman on Enterprise TV. My case. Will 2025 be Nigeria's turning point? 2025 slipped in quietly as Nigerians tried their best to put up a semblance of a celebration of the Yuletide. The harsh economy and uninspiring policies of President Bola Tinubu had brought the country so low. Now Nigerians were just generally contented to ride with the year 2024 to an uneventful end and then roll into 2025 with fresh hopes for a better year. Now that's where the problem is. Will the new year be a better one for Nigerians? It's anybody's guess what it might turn out to be. But looking at Tinubu's lackluster governance in almost 2 years since inauguration, there's little to cheer about. His 2025 budget was hyped with so much aplomb by his aides, but it turned out to be a piece of overambitious and unrealizable drivel. Reducing inflation from 40% to 15% is a shot in the dark, but the budget doesn't contain any serious plans about how this will be achieved. Then, sadly, his government retains his spendthrift character, despite promises to cut the cost of governance. Or as you describe, the ridiculous $20,000 medical allowance for retired generals. How about 4 billion naira for a helipad for Tinubu in Lagos, as well as other awful expenditure heads in the budget? I mean, that's over subsidizing the elite, at the expense of the ordinary people. Even with all the sound and fury about diversifying into agriculture, there's nothing to show for it. All he just said was that, the government would encourage more production of food. Sefini. My verdict, fellow Nigerians, don't place too much hope on these spenders. They've got no plans for you. Make serious plans to improve your financial literacy, emotional and street intelligence, and maximal deployment of your scarce resources. They tell you that they've brought the price of fuel down. By how much? It's just a mirage.
Well, Emeka, you're just like, exfoliating our thoughts and our emotions, that every other time Nigerians desire to, come to terms with some of the some of the situation that we have, 1 or 2 times we get to hear some of these things that, prick us and make us want to stay alive again. But you said something very profound here, how that we would utilize our street smartness and all of that. But the question is, how much can we do that when we are in a cocoon that is suffocating? That is the question. We are a semblance, like you did say, of the society we find ourselves. We can breathe in and take out when what is being fused into us is not good enough for us. How much of that can we survive? In other climes where things work, it's simply because the environment is made perfect. Not, of course, perfect, but near perfect. So they are able to survive. They're able to think. They're able to do all that they are supposed to do. But in a situation where the environment is even so rustic that you can't even do anything, and the question is, how much of that, can we, take advantage of? The case of Tinubu is so difficult to comprehend and understand, and maybe figure out a way to go about it. Unfortunately, rather than they are doing that, they are all about time trying to tackle Peter Obi, who is of course trying to, say his own bit and contribute to the growth of Nigeria and the economy. But as much as that, is said, 2025 is here upon us, and Nigerians, like we always do, would do the much that they can, to see how of that shock they can absorb. But the question is, are we sure that when that pressure is exercised so much, won't the shock absorber, give way? That is the question. It's a rhetoric question, which every single Nigerian, would have to answer. Remember, we had the dirty December, an illusion, a figment of illusion, that made it look like, everything is well and good. One American that came for the dirty December in Lagos took the time while their mates were busy in a hotel and all that. She rather took the decision of going to the streets of Lagos, and she actually captured the real situation of Nigeria. So while they were busy, celebrating, she was actually on the streets, capturing the reality of things on ground, and that is that's a very big one.
Yeah, let me take it from that dirty December thing. Just a fox. I mean, I have some Black American friends here who told me that it's time to go to motherland. And I told them, this thing you call motherland, in fact, every Black American you see say they are Nigerians. Even the ones with pointed nose, I told them that you could be from Kenya, they took offense. And I had to apologize. All of them said that their nose is like mine, they are Nigerian, there's nothing I can tell them. I said, well, I'm happy that someday, you hear about dirty December and all that. So it was a big deal here because we made it look like, I mean, there's no problem back there at home. Even some of diasporans who have been here for long, they were like, yeah, I mean, things have changed already, so why are we... But the truth of the matter is that the media cannot give you a full story of situation anywhere. The media can't because storytelling is either sectic or you are using... Storytelling is tied to methods, and those methods have their limitations. So the truth of the matter is that you have raised a very fundamental issue about the Nigerian state. But what really, rattles my heart about the Nigerian situation is that it looks like there's palpable fear when there is a voice that is so strong like that of Peter Obi, that is yearning for change. First of all, our leaders do not want that to happen. A huge part of the country also does not want that to happen. And I ask myself, who is scared if everyone suddenly becomes comfortable? Who is it going to affect negatively that you have, your neighbor have? The next person that's going to have enough. You all can pool forces together and get more and be much more prosperous. Who does that affect? You see, the thing is that there are so many people who have around that actually need to succeed alone so that they can oppress others. That mindset is what drives this greed and covetousness. That is why at the end of the day, you find that people are staggering. If you see why Dirty December was going on as one narrative, it was going on pari passu with people being stampeded to death because they need to get grains. Okay, you see, that is why I say the media cannot give you the full story. Why there is opulence high up there, there's misery down there, and both are two narratives running pari passu, two different realities of opposing forces running pari passu at the same time. So what you have is you believe the one that is closest to you or the one that is your reality. Okay, so but And in the mix of this, the government have not come up with any kind of research on the situation. I mean, 2 years back, December, there were no stampede anywhere that led to the death of people. Now, this government came in. The government was young then. Now, this is like the first major or second major, the first major celebration we're having after this government took over power, because you cannot say the first one. They really did, because
yes.
yeah, you can. The first one was
It's a moment of inertia.
The outcome of the previous government that led to the first celebration. So now the outcome of this government and our policy, this is the first celebration, and this is what it is. And nobody is doing research on the outcomes of the situation on ground after this government had led for 1 year, and nobody has tracked the outcomes, because those outcomes are important for the future, for history, for reference. Okay? And so that the government can do better. But you see that the government came up and told you that it did nothing wrong. That it was the way to go and all that. And that even, the journalists were being picked up and down. Dissenting voices, you pick them up and all that. The reason they have not picked Peter Obi is because of the obedient movement. They would have picked him a long time ago, because they know that would disrupt this administration and disrupt the country. Might even lead to something bigger than we think. That's the only reason. Otherwise, that is the immunity that Peter Obi seems to be enjoying. The obedient movement is a force to reckon with. Otherwise, they have, people who who criticize government are being taken every day. Some of them just disappear and all that. So we must do something about our country to take it back. Take it back. People must come out from poverty. Any government that cannot bring people out of poverty cannot claim to have led us anywhere.
Yeah, there was was it the futurist or so, an Indian, I don't remember his name, who said something profound. He said, don't fear people, fear systems. Because it's systems that actually rule the world. It's systems that keep people poor. It's systems that keep just 1% of the global population, with 90% of the resources of the world. It is systems. I was reading somewhere today that Indians are gradually taking over the, American economy, buying up, things here and there, now controlling over $5 trillion, Nigeria, in the American economy. Look at, there was this report that 10 Nigerians, control 54% of Nigeria's stock exchange. Just 10 Nigerians. Yes, exactly. So that is what we call about systems. These people, go on to form their own systems. And, they push out their own mantra. They exhibit the objectives. They carry out the objectives of the systems. So what, for instance, somebody like Peter Obi has been doing is that he has been hitting at the system. But the APC spin doctors like Felix Walker, what they shamelessly do is that they try to turn it to a Tinubu affair. The system that Tinubu perpetuates is a system whereby Tinubu said before election that he will slow down the economy, reduce purchasing power, and increase taxes. But the flip side, he didn't tell us, was that the economy will move faster for the elite. The other, in saying that he will reduce purchasing power, the flip side was that he will increase, what was coming to the elite. And then in raising taxes, they will make sure there will be more money for their gluttonous appetite. Those are the things Nigerians didn't hear from him, but those are the unsaid things. I've told people many times, listen, it doesn't matter how many people you pick up, you arrest and all that. There is a day after tomorrow. There will be a day when you see this power you think you will come to an end. Whether naturally or naturally, it will come to an end. And that is when you will know that many of the people who are supporting you actually did that out of maybe a sense of helplessness or foolishness. I put them to the issue of Abacha, Sani Abacha. We're in this country when Abacha and when his goons were moving up and down.
Yes.
Mustafa, the Sergeant Rogers and all of that. But where are they today?
And I remember that
relics
part,
of yesterday.
You know, who does the cap fit? And there was a transition.
Yes, so I tell them. I look at Felix Moka. This was somebody who was my senior prefect in secondary school. That was almost killed by seniors, some really seniors. I was the one, sitting here was the one who went to call a teacher. In the night, this was around 9 p.m., went to call a teacher that some guys wanted to kill the senior prefect. He now went there and brought him out of their midst, took him to the principal's house. The principal, a retired boxer, now came out, went to the hostel to look for them. All of them had run away. They would have killed Felix Moka that night. And then I now look at Felix Moka. You? When I watched that video, the scene just played back before me. I said, what? You, Felix Moka? So yeah, because sometime last year, I spoke with him on the phone and I said, do you remember? He said, those bad boys. I said, Felix, it wasn't just, what I saw that night wasn't just those bad boys. What I saw that night wasn't just those bad boys. You were just inches away from death. Be very careful. When you think you can say, you can project possibility of calamity for a fellow man, remember, both of you share the same humanity. So, all I will just say is that, you see, Tinubu has shown a capacity for vacuous declarations. I will reduce inflation from 40% to 15%. How? How do you do that? Are you now telling me because inflation has benefited people who invested money in treasury bills, in bonds? So are you not going to tell those people that their investments will stop yielding what it has been yielding for them?
Exactly.
Is that what you're telling them? Are you going to tell the portfolio investors, whom you've been calling your foreign direct investors, are you going to tell them that, the money they put in Nigerian stock, in the NGX, Nigerian Stock Exchange, will no longer be flowing like that, that the returns will not flow, and so on and so forth? You are still battling over whether you need to waive import duty to bring in food. Whereas we have 55 million hectares of land in Nigeria. How much of it are we farming? How much of science and technology have we deployed to agricultural production? You said you will bring down food prices. But the same thing Tinubu said in December, I don't believe in price control. So you see, the thing is that, there is a coherent policy. So they just want people to be dancing here and there. There was a day I took up some of his supporters now on one WhatsApp group, of a media house I used to work in. One of them was talking about what refinery. I just told him, I said, it's sad when journalists willfully perpetuate ignorance. It's sad. It makes me, if it's the man on the street, I can understand, but journalists, I said, you don't know what you are doing. You are destroying your future. Because someday all these comments will filter out. And people will say, is this the caliber of person that this guy is? How can you be praising the government for reviving Warri and Port Harcourt refineries? I said, do you know that these refineries are obsolete? They are brownfields, dead structures. Dead structures. That, look at Dangote refinery, 650,000 barrels per day. The four refineries, 445,000 barrels per day. Government took loans and put into those refineries. Whereas what you should do is sell NNPC and everything, or take them to the stock exchange, so that people can bring in money, dismantle the entire old archaic stuff, dismantle it, and then now bring in equipment and set up green fields, fresh refineries. Ask them, are you happy? You are praising because of Tinubu's ego. We are putting in money, but have you checked the cost? Now, one problem we have in Nigeria is that we don't count the cost of things we do. And at the end of the day, what do we get? Another president will come in and start blaming Tinubu again. And then we'll go around the circle. So, well, that's a wrap on the Middlemen on Enterprise TV for today. We hope you enjoyed our conversation. Until next time, stay informed and stay engaged. We are at Enterprise TV all across social media. From the jurors and I, it's bye for now. Bye.